Hello, and welcome to the final table of the World Series of Free Enterprise Edward Percent. I am Kobahi, and joining me for commentary today is Great White Hope. Say hello.
Hello.
Yeah, we have four of our amazing runners, Simbu 9, Baka Shinobi, Doke Kobold, and Scratch Dragon here for you. As well as a lovely restreamer Demarine 2, and tracking for us today is Crimson Apex.
Well, it should be a good race. Ed, this is the final table of Edward Percent, which is, as the name implies, very focused on everyone's favorite Spoony Bard. In fact, everyone else is gone. All Edwards, all the time.
Exactly. So yeah, the runners are going to have to deal with, having probably one of the least liked characters in the game, and five of them. Well, eventually five of them, and we should be getting going soon.
Yes, and with Edward being around, should be very interesting once we get going.
Definitely. So yeah, there's going to be a few things these runners are looking for. One of the key items that is very nice is the spoon, which hopefully is in the seed. They're going to be looking for good bows and arrows, and potentially even dancing daggers early to kind of get them through the first few boss fights and get them looking for some of these items. So we do have Bahamut being the boss in the bargain spot, giving us the Oath Crystal for everyone to have. So that dungeon is available, though we may not be going there right away as we can't really handle it yet.
But that will open up the that will make you want to go maybe towards Terraria, but we will see.
Yeah, that Earth Crystal does open up the extra armory in Troya, giving you another 20 or so chests of loot. We are on the highest loot value, so anything from the best endgame armor and gear to the anything could be in there. So adamant armors being something these runners would very much like to see.
Well, we have two runners going. We have our two runners on the left going to Baron, and the other two going to go see Third Edward, who has the Baron key.
Yeah, so this flag set, the free lunch is pretty much on, so they get a free key item being the Baron key. They're probably going to go ahead and loot up that Troya armory and everything down there, hoping for some interesting things. And we'll have some shop checks going on as well, as we see pretty much the only useful thing in Baron being that black belt. And Cure 2 potions always help.
Baka Shinobi has found a ribbon, which should be useful, I believe.
Yeah, we've been stopping a lot of status effects, also being really good on defensive stats. And we see both Baka and Scratch Dragon going down to this new armory, finding a samurai bow and a Gaia drum and a Stardust, which are both useful items. An assassin dagger can be of good use too.
Crystal armor is good for money, which probably won't be a factor in this, but you never know.
With the S3 flag, we could find some good stuff in shops as well, so money never hurts. See Simbu finding star veils in the normally pass shop, which will come in handy for a few bosses and potentially at the very end of the game if a certain strategy is used. Also, life potions, always good.
Finding an early heroine armor in Edward Percent just makes me sad.
Well, again, it's another thing they can sell for money. Sadly, Edward can't wear the heroin robe, otherwise.
Still, come on, it's hair. It's one of the best armors you can possibly find on a flag set where it's just money.
Yeah, Dark Kobold finding himself some bandanas in that mist shop. Those are some very handy strength boosting helmets for Edward.
Maka Shinobi has picked up some notices, which little bit of damage, but early on could be pretty significant.
As we see, when you're stuck with a couple Edwards, everyone's doing a little bit of extended looting here, trying to find some items to make it so they can get through the first couple bosses.
You never know when you're gonna find a dancing dagger, or really one bow can be the difference between a boss being easy and a boss being impossible.
Yeah, and I did see Scratch Dragon pick up a power robe in the back grass of Troya there. So could be very happy with that as being probably the second best armor you can get for Edward in this flag.
And between that and a ribbon, that would be a fairly bulky Edward.
Yeah. Okay, we have Baka looting Mist, Simbu about to loot Mist, it looks like Scratch Dragon as well. Dark Kobold has made their way into the Troya armory, grabbing all of those nice treasure chests.
It looks as though everyone has gone the same and the same spots, just completely different orders.
Definitely. And getting that Earth Crystal early really does make Troya very nice to go to. Simbu actually selling that samurai bow, deciding not to keep it at all, going for some other strategies. I don't know if he found dancing daggers or not. Possible.
Baka Shinobi has picked up some Zeus Rages in Kaipo, so there is probably the first few bosses that he will run after.
Also come in handy if they find Keinazo in a difficult spot to get him out of that water phase. I believe we have Baka Shinobi being the first one to actually hit up the Damsian Castle. There's another 9 or 10 chests here, so. About the only useful thing in those chests was an Elven bow, which can be pretty good, but these runners
strength
are really
ring.
hoping for...
Can Edward use the strength ring?
Sadly, no. The best rings Edward can use are the Protect and Crystal rings. He can wear the Rune armlets, surprisingly enough, but Strength and Zeus gauntlets cannot be equipped on Edward, so...
I didn't think he could use the strength ring, but good to make sure.
Yeah, we actually have Dark Kobold going into the Watery Pass, looking for even more treasure here. Not satisfied with what they have yet. Any of these treasure chests could be holding an adamant armor. Also, we get another Edward here, so adding one to his party.
As Baka Shinobi also picks up a third Edward.
Yeah, the Damsian Castle will allow you to get another one. And we have Baka Shinobi going into the Antlion Cave. So this will be the first of, I guess, boss fight related key item checks and a bunch more treasure being freely given in this dungeon.
And with a Zeus Rage, there is an Artemis bow.
Yep, so the Artemis bow is the best bow in the game. It boosts a lot of your physical stats as well. So he'll be very happy with that Artemis bow. Probably the second best weapon you can get for Edward, and the best being the spoon, which you can only get one of.
And you can't find it from a treasure chest.
No, it is a key item, and only available through that, so... He's going to equip up some of his Edwards here. He has a couple bows going, so we'll see which he gives all of them. The Earth is going on this one, with the black... And he goes ahead and gives the ribbon to that one as well. So we also have Simbu making their way through the Antlion Cave, while Dark Kobold is hitting up Damsian. And it looks like Scratch Dragon has decided to go and loot Baron. But yeah, so far it's just been a lot of treasure chest looting, finding some gear for those Edwards, maybe picking up another one or so. And we're going to get Bakashinobu showing us our first boss fight here. Luckily, although it's random, this boss is scaled to what the Antline would have. And we have the Mist Dragon, which is just a normal boss fight in this mode, but still, nothing should be too much of a problem in this spot as they only have about 1,000 life.
Yep, and should be.
Yeah, those Zeus Rages doing a decent amount of damage. A couple of those and a shot from the Odin's Bow Edward, and down goes Mist Dragon. He gives us the Legend Sword. Kind of completely useless in this flag set. The Legend Sword and the Adamant will get you an Excalibur, which, again, Edward can't use. It also is one of the items that could replace the spoon in the flag set, so probably not the greatest thing to see.
Oh boy. Well, that will be fun.
Definitely Simbu picking himself up a Legend Sword as well. And now the other two are making their way down the Antline Cave, while the other two are on their way out and deciding what to do next.
Next play is maybe, yep, I was thinking Baka Shinobi was going to head towards, Fabul.
Yeah, it looks like he has. Oran is deciding to skip the Mount Hobbs. Mount Hobbs would give them another Edward with a boss fight, but with the free launch seed on, they can pick up enough for free that they don't really need to do that boss fight to pick one up. So deciding to go straight here. Simbu goes straight into the fight while Bakashinobu is cleaning up his inventory a little. Find some arrows and some diamond armlets, which Edward can use.
We have ourselves an evil wall.
Again, Fabul's a relatively easy spot. Evil Wall is one of those bosses that in a later spot with Edwards you can kind of cheese with his hide ability, but not really required when you have Zeus Rages and you can just hit him for 460 a pop here. It looks like Scratch Dragon did find Dancing Daggers somewhere, and he's showing us the throwing those strat on this D-Mist, so definitely another one of the strategies you can go with, and it works relatively well as well.
So we're 10 minutes into the race, and although the routes are likely going to seem similar, just completely different strategies between our runners.
And Simbu showing us this key item the king is going to give us. It is the Adamant, another thing that can replace the spoon. So
let's find our magma key and go get our Excalibur.
And
then sell it.
Yeah, the saddest part about this is that means it's either the spoon or the pinktail. So they're either going to get the best weapon or the best armor. Now, Adamants are available in chests, and one of the things these runners are hoping for in all of these chests, but not the greatest situation to find those items. It also leaves them with, not many options for what to go next, although they do have both Baron and Earth Crystals. Looks like Scratch Dragon has found a few good items in this. I believe it was the Egg Art shop. Exit items being nice, as Edward himself will never learn spells, so allow him to escape some of these dungeons quickly. We have Simbu now doing his inventory management. Luckily, when you have all Edwards, it's really easy to know what to sell or what to keep.
If you can equip it, you might want to keep it. If not, selling that life staff hurts. Scratch Dragon's just hurting my heart.
Well, he has no use for it. I mean, they sold 2 white spears as well. So yeah, in shops, the main things they're probably going to be looking for hourglasses to do stops on some fights, maybe even for some grinds later. I think they've all found life potions at this point, and Cure 2s. Cure 3s could be very handy, as they will allow for even greater healing. And then some situational items, Star Veils, which were available in Troya, and some others. Some damage items are available under these flag sets.
So where do you think our runners are going to go next, given what they've found?
It's an interesting debate to see where they go. I mean, will they do ordeals for the chance? I mean, a key item will be there with this flag set. Which one it'll be, I don't know. Do they feel strong enough to take on that Baron in yet? I don't know. Right now, we have a couple of our people looting up and shopping in Silvara, finding some nice items.
Scratch Dragon has found some silk webs, which will be handy.
Oh, look, we have someone trying to use the hide strat against Evil Wall. So yeah, when Evil Wall moves, he attacks. He has to attack. So if he's the only thing available, he'll attack himself. Looks like Dark's decided that Evil Wall's probably not going to do enough damage to kill himself, so bringing his Edwards out to finish the job. Simbu is going for that Baron infight, finding the Octomom in the first spot, and something in the second spot, which could be more of a problem. So we'll see what shows up in this second spot. It looks like possibly Rubicante. It could be the Elements fight, though. It is the Elements, which is a little nicer of a fight than Rubicante at this point.
Especially with if Simbu's picked up the Artemis bow, then shouldn't that do a good bit of damage?
I mean, yeah, it'll do damage. Simbu does have Cure 3s, and he threw one at the Mylon Z for portion of this fight. Sadly, because of the programming of this fight, it's Mylon and Rubicante share kind of back things, so he's not actually an undead.
These Stardusts, though, should do some work.
Yeah. Luckily, also in the spot, there is an HP refill, but he does manage to skip it and the last two forms of the Elements fight, so he does get through this fight. We will see another key item. It is the Magma Key. So Simbu being our first runner with access to the Underground.
And access to the Excalibur.
Yes, that all... I mean, they may actually go and get the Excalibur to access the extra shop that becomes available when they do it. Not so much for the actual Excalibur itself.
Speaking of extra shops, Simbu checked out the Baron weapon shop and found that is apparently where the dancing daggers were.
And Baka Shinobi is in there right now as well. Looks like we have Dark Kobold leaving for Bool, going to do some more shopping, with Scratch Dragon in that Evil Wall fight still. Simbu making the last rounds of the overworld right now to see what else they can find. Illusions and Silk Webs being very nice items. Illusions casting the Blink spell on yourself, and Silk Webs casting Slow twice on the enemy. Scratch is having a little bit of trouble with this Evil Wall, doing a little more damage than would have liked. Looks like they're gonna try he's gonna try the hide strat to have Evil Wall beat himself up. And Dark Kobold has found the Cure 3s, Bacchus Wines, Coffins, Hourglass 2s, the plethora of things that you want, and the Stowdusts.
A lot of fun things. Those Stardusts were what probably gave Simbu the win against the Elements at the War Inn.
Yeah, and then Simbu's taking that Magma Key and gonna head straight into the Underground here. We have Baka Shinobi going into the Baron fight, which will net him the Magma Key if he can beat it. And Evil Wall still trying to beat itself up on Scratch Dragon's screen. Although he may have given up on that strategy.
So going underground, what do you think where do you think Simbu would be checking out? Land of Summon Monsters and Sylph Cave?
Those are probably the two spots you'll hit up first, being freaky item spots. We did see Scratch Dragon actually taking advantage of that one ribbon he had. He let the Evil Wall get to the Crush phase, and then in that crush phase, he is not actually able to kill someone that's wearing a ribbon or adamant armor. So basically making himself invincible, netting him that item, and continue. See Baka Shinobi getting his magma key now, so he'll have access to the underground as well. Whereas Simbu's probably about to descend there, and yeah, as he said, he can probably hit up the Fame Arch, probably the Yang Sylph Cave, the Sheila 1 item. Might hit up the shops before he does so. We'll see. Now it looks like he's heading straight for the Fame Arch.
Yep, and checking the Fame Arch first just to make sure that it's not the pan.
Yeah, it's definitely a routing thing, though. I almost always will check the Fame Arch first, because if you get the pan there, then you do not have to double dip Sylph Cave.
And while double dipping Sylph Cave isn't it isn't always terrible. It is annoying and it is a time loss. But we have I think our first real route change on Baka Shinobi's side.
Yeah, it looks like Baka Shinobi has decided to take that Baron Key and head into the Baron Castle via the waterway. Simbu does find himself a hook in the chest in the Fame Arch, so he can check out Eblon Cave now, turn in tails if he gets them, but we'll see what he decides to do.
At this point, I'm not sure if you want to see the pink tail anymore. Pink tail would be nice, but it would also be tragic.
Yeah, it would mean that the spoon is gone from the seed.
It would be appropriate for the final table to give us a spoonless Zeromus fight.
Yeah, we do have Dark Kobold and Scratch Dragon both in this Baron infight, while Baka Shinobi has decided to challenge the King of Dragons in Baron. And it looks like Simbu will hit up the Sylph Cave now to do the Sheila 1 item. Looks like Dark Kobold receiving the Magma Key. Scratch Dragon has decided to reset out of the fight, maybe figuring they're not prepared for it yet, or and on Baka's side, we have a Mega Nuke going off and a couple walls reflecting that Mega Nuke and killing Bahamut.
You gotta feel bad for the King of Dragons at some point.
Yeah, it looks like Scratch Dragon has decided to maybe get some more levels and loot heading into the Eblon Castle. There are 3 trap chests here, and a lot of other treasures as well, so maybe looking for some levels for his characters and possibly gear here.
Found some monsters.
Looks like we have a vanilla Kenazo sitting on the throne in Baron, so hopefully Baka has some more of those Zeus Rages available.
I saw at least 4.
Gonna be going ahead and Bakasing up, I guess, his Artemis Bow, Edward. Simbu will be turning in Sheila 1 here, getting for himself a Rat Tail. And he does have that hook that he found in the Fame Arch, so he can turn that.
Well, I would say that's about, outside of getting an actual item of value, that's about what you would want to see from Sheila.
Yeah, it allows him to immediately go and do another key item check, and it does add to that 10 key item count all of our runners will be looking for.
And it does eliminate any future. It potentially eliminates having to check that area anymore in the game, depending on where our if it's a spoon or the pink tail.
Yeah, that is true. Looks like Scratch Dragon bit off a bit more than he could chew with one of these trap chest fights. Where Dark Kobold has decided to do some more looting and shopping.
Well, Baka Shinobi has defeated Kenazo and has gotten another Edward. I think one of the problems that Scratch Dragon is having is that they've only gotten the 2 Edwards. There's been no additional Edward collection, so single hits do a lot of party HP.
Definitely, and especially at these early levels with Edward having such a low HP value and not the greatest armor yet, apparently. So we do have Simbu turning in this rat tail, getting himself a Sand Ruby, which is another key item that leads to another Edward.
And Baka Shinobi has gotten the Darkness Crystal from Baron.
So the Darkness Crystal unlocks the moon, allows you to get another Edward, allows you to do some grinding on the moon if you can handle it, and another item shop, but no key items are really up there. So it looks like he's deciding, let's use this magma key and go underground. Whereas Simbu has decided it's time to do Mount Ordeals. It's like Scratch Dragon has managed to get the hourglass off on these mad ogres and is slowly beating them down with. I'm not sure what kind of dagger he has on that Edward, so.
If it's not a dancing, then I think it would be an assassin's dagger. As I know that Scratch Dragon has both of those types. Interesting is that Scratch Dragon's not using the Artemis bow.
I don't know if maybe he skipped that chest or.
No, Scratch Dragon has the Artemis bow in the inventory.
Enough. Maybe he decided he doesn't have any good enough arrows. Simbu picking up another Edward here on Mount Ordeals, heading up to that first boss fight. Gonna save beforehand or heal, depending. I'm just throwing a save down.
You never know when a boss you can't handle is going to be somewhere.
Looks like we have Yang in the Mylon spot, so few attacks, few kicking, but this spot only has about, I think, 3,000 health or so hopefully he can get through it pretty quickly.
Not in the more fun ordeal spot.
No, definitely not. If he is in that second spot, you do get to see him kick around the world to kick your party for some odd reason, but not.
Well, I believe the official reason, unless it's changed recently, is because it's too funny to fix, which is a reasoning that I can definitely agree to.
Definitely. Have Kobold, having picked up their hook in the Feymark, checked the shops out, making their way, might do that Sheila 1 check as well, or decide something else is more pertaining. Looks like more looting in Dwarf Castle.
Mylon in the Mylon Z spot.
It's interesting, but again, with those Stardust that he's just throwing out, he's making quick work of some of these early boss spots. Too funny to fix is a valid reason. Yeah, we have Bakashobi in the Feymark himself. Gonna grab his hook here. Maybe check out the shop. But Scratch Dragon has decided it's time to go into the Baron Castle.
So we've now seen two of the Mylons. Mylon Z still hiding somewhere.
Looks like Dark Kobold did pick up a whole bunch of samurai arrows, so those are definitely a nice find for increasing Edward's damage with bows.
And Mylon's body is falling apart, so...
Yeah, Simbu has beat the first two bosses, will be receiving his key item from Mount Ordeals in a moment here.
And if Cecil existed, he would become a paladin, and Tella gets to learn Medio wherever he isn't.
Exactly. Looks like Dark Kobold has also decided it is time to use this Baron key and head into the Baron Castle. Mount Ordeals gives us a pan.
So, a double dip into Sylph Cave is in Simbu's future.
Definitely. Finding Mom Bomb in the mirror, kind of an annoying boss to spot, as you're not going to be able to kill it usually before it explodes.
Yes, the pan actually is maybe the best item you can find in this spot, actually. Because, specifically because the pan is the ninth item, and so Sylph will make it 10, and. Or, Sheila 2, rather, will make it 10, and that will be good.
Yep. Although Simbu has not done the Baron Castle yet, which we know does lead to the Darkness Crystal. So even if this does yield the crystal itself, Simbu will still need a way to access the final fight to even consider finishing it off. After that Momblogs loads, he's decided us to take them out. Easy peasy. Whereas Scratch Dragon has defeated Bahamut, and looks like Dark Kobold will be on it. I mean, this is the SNES version, it's just randomized. Ooh, we found a single siren and some Artemis arrows in the Baron kind of treasury, where Scratch Dragon is looting up now. Bakshinobi gonna be turning in that Sheila 1 for that rat tail. Looks like Simbu has decided it is time to hit Yang with a pan to go for that Sheila 2 item.
We'll just have to wait and see what it is.
Baka going to turn in his newly found rat tail, while Dark Kobold still makes his way through this Bahamut fight. So hitting Yang with a pan.
Oh, so.
The Sylphs won't give you a key item in this flag set, but they do have a chance to give you something good. We get a Samurai Shield, so nothing good for Edward.
Edward does get a nap, though.
Yep, it looks like Scratch Dragon has finished looting up Baron. Like Baka Shinobi has decided to head into the Eblon Cave, maybe to check out the shop here, or grab another Edward. I'm not sure if he has 5 yet.
I believe Baka Shinobi picked up his 5th Edward in Baron Castle.
It's like Dark Kobold also deciding to loot up the Baron Castle before going on to that throne fight, whereas Scratch Dragon has now entered that fight. Simbu about to turn in that pan item, whereas Baka Shinobi looking at the shops in Eblon Cat.
Trying to give hey! The pan yields the Twin Harp, which is a key item location, and most importantly, some music.
Probably more importantly to Simbu is he has reached that 10 key item point, so he will be getting double experience from everything he does from this point on. Probably the more important thing in Edward Percents, but it looks like he is deciding it is time to go do that Twin Harp.
Saving here actually could mean that Zot is in play.
It's also possible he may be setting up to reset, though with the key items that are left, I doubt there would be any sort of reset coming out of the...
Actually, by the looks of it, it looked like Simba was looking for metal items.
Yeah, definitely will speed up the first phase of the eventual Nod Dark Elf fight. So, Scratch Dragon, having defeated Kainazo, will receive his Darkness Crystal. Dark Kobold making work of Kainazo here, whereas Baka Shinobi has decided it is time to do Mount Ordeals.
Simbu finds a dancing dagger.
I think we have the only good armor piece we found is a single power robe, and I guess the only good weapon is a single Artemis bow so far for these runners. So
We
having
have
to use
found
a
a
lot of
ribbon.
a ribbon as well. But having to use a lot of these J items that have been introduced back into the randomizer, and dancing daggers, reflect, hiding strats is definitely coming in handy for these runners.
Alright,
It's like Scratch Dragon's decided, I have some levels, I can defeat these elements now, and gonna be taking out the Baron in spot, whereas Simbu will be giving us some glorious, glorious music soon.
we should be quiet for that. Alright, we have Antlion at Dark Elf, and I'm not sure what music this is.
So we get some, a little more epic than it should be boss music here for Antlion in the Dark Elf Cave.
What song is this?
I don't know the exact one, I know it, but it's one of those ones that's on the tip of my tongue.
See, I feel like that too. And I was...
Yes.
There we go. X battle with X Step FF5.
Yeah. So we get some final boss music for a fight with Antlion, which is doing a decent amount of damage to our Edgeworths, especially with these counterattacks.
Antlion's one of those bosses that at a weird spot can be surprisingly powerful. Especially it being Edward isn't helping.
Definitely. And we see Bakashinobu having finally finished this mount ordeals in the Mombon fight. Scratch Dragon, having had received that magma key from that Baron infight, has made his way underground. Looks like he's going to be doing the Feymark, and Dark Kobold is looks like some looting first. And Dark Kobold is making his way through mount ordeals now, getting through these fights.
Simbu is taking a beating, but so long as that Berserked Artemis Edward hangs in there, very lucky miss.
Yeah, so using the rest of his Edwards, just throw life potions out and resurrect people. Whereas that well-equipped one takes out the Antlion. See what we get from this cave. We get the Luca key.
So there is a grinding option.
Definitely, our runners would be able to turn encounters on and fight some of these trapdoors for a decent amount of experience if they so choose. But we'll see what they decide to do here and what avenues Simbu goes through next. The Earth Crystal is available with the tower right here, so we'll see if that's what he decides.
Looks like that's what Simbu's going to go after. It is right here, and I honestly don't know if there's any better options. You don't want to do a double dip of the Tower of Babel with options available to not do it.
No, and it looks like that is his decision. Bak Shinobi doing some more looting, checking some shops in the underground. Looks like Scratch Dragon opening some chests in the Feymark on his way down, looking for some more loot. Where Dark Kobold finishing off that Mylon fight to get himself through Mount Ordeals.
Scratch Dragon was doing some looting in the Fey March and found a trap chest. So that looting is done,
Yeah, so
or
there's one.
rather, was reset.
So yeah, there's definitely the 5 warrior chests can be a problem for Edwards, especially if you don't have the proper equipment. But he's just skipping that one chest now and moving on. Bakashinobi did find himself a coast ring in the top of this tower, which could be very useful for doing some agility manipulation later.
It will be especially difficult. The Five Warrior chest will be especially difficult given that when you encounter it in the Fey March in a randomizer, it's most likely going to be with you having the entire party at very low health.
Especially with Edwards with no access to float. Looks like the first boss here in the tower is the D-Lunars, so looking for those J items to make them not counter everything he does and start reflecting, but Big Bomb's doing some serious damage to these and shouldn't be much of a problem. As Scratch Dragon is about to pick up his hook here in the Feymark, may decide to, again, do some more shopping, looting here before he leaves. And Bakashinobi taking that pan down to his double dip on the Sylph Cave. Kobold finishing up the Mount Ordeal's fight in the mirror with Mom Bomb. We'll be taking this pan and deciding what to do next after this. In this tower, we do see Dark Knight Cecil, so we know that that is the second fight in the Dwarf Castle, if our runners decide to hit that up at some point. And laying on the ground, surprise, another Edward.
These Edwards are just everywhere.
Scratch Dragon making his first path through the Sylph Cave, which will end up leading to that rat tail from Sheila 1. It's like Simbu's changing out a couple of his Edwards, possibly to get a experienced slingshot to bypass the levels that he has on his current ones to make them even stronger.
I believe he traded out a level 18 Edward for a level 25 one.
Looks like Baka has turned in his secondary Sheila, which I believe was that Twin Hope. So he has that Twin Hope Earth Crystal root available to him now as well. The boss in the Valvala spot is Ashura, and we see Simbu taking advantage of using 2 Star Veils to cast a Reflect on Ashura to make all of the healing spells go and hit his pony instead. Throwing a Mute Knife on one of the Edwards and bazooking that Edward up to do probably a lot of damage.
Baka Shinobi is summoning the Lunar Whale. So, maybe going after an Edward up there?
He may be thinking, I have, over 10 key items, maybe I'll do some grinding now and then hit some of the harder spots up. Or maybe there's one item he's really looking for in that shop, possibly.
Always possible.
We do have Scratch Dragon loading up this Dwarf Castle. Warping out, doesn't look like he's going to go for that boss fight quite yet. Whereas Dark Kobold turning in that pan for a Twin Hope. Simbu has defeated Ashura. I'm going to get him another key item here. We're running low on which ones we can find, so we'll see what he gets. Baka Shinobi is heading to that shop to see what he can find there.
The crystal has to be somewhere.
finding moon veils for sale. Those can really help with the party of Edwards, kind of giving them that a barrier status to make them immune to physical attacks.
Uh, well, Simbu has found the pink tail, which means no spoon.
But he gets an adamant armor. But yes, it does mean that there is actually no spoon in this scene. One of the kind of non progression key items will get replaced in a K1 flag set, and it looks like we do have a spoonless seed for Edwards. So his consolation prize, again, is this adamant armor, which is really nice. It looks like Baka Shinobi has headed towards the giant.
No, Chad is right. No spoony bards this seed.
Looks like Dark Kobold has decided it's time to use this Twin Hope. Will possibly take the same set that Simbu has found to eventually get himself an adamant armor, but Baka Shinobi has decided it's probably time for loot or grinding here.
Now, the good thing for Simbu is that although there will be no spoon, which will hurt the damage output, with an adamant armor, opens up a lot of locations for Edward that you can just win safely because adamant will reduce the damage that significantly.
Definitely. And yeah, as pointed out in chat, it looks like Simbu was going for that Twin Hub Earth Crystal Baron Castle route, so we'll be going through here, eventually finding himself a Darkness Crystal. Scratch Dragon looks like he's decided to loot up or shop in Eblon, and Dark Kobold making his way to that Dark Elf Ant Lion fight. So we will be getting some more music here, some more battle with X-Death.
Baka Shinobi is doing something in the giant.
I believe he is looking for possibly Mac Giants to use his charm arrows on for some grinding. So I believe he's looking for either a specific fight. Is deciding to pull his moon veils up and is going to use them on these things. It looks like he was mostly looking for a fight that gave only physical attack. Sadly, in a back
that
attack,
didn't work out.
they're quite fast, and they still hurt, especially on Edwards.
And with that, if Baka Shinobi would be going back to sit through the encounter again, the cutscene again.
But it looks like that is what he has decided to do. Really wants to get some levels on his Edwards here. I mean, at some point they're going to have to get them. Fighting Zoromis is not the easiest thing with all Edwards. I mean, there are some strategies, but you still need a little bit of health to survive some of the basic abilities that are going to go through.
With a little bit of luck, a good team can lose to Zeromus, let alone a team of 5 bards.
Exactly. So we do have Dark Kobold in this fight with the music, fighting the Antlion. See how he handles this one.
So let's see, which options are left for the crystal then? Because, Luca Cave and the 2 tower locations?
I believe we have the top of the tower. We don't have the tower key yet, so the super cannon isn't open yet. We do have Dwarf Castle, I believe, as well.
Yes, I'd forgotten about Dwarf Castle. So, I suppose that Simbu after this fight's going to be either going under... He's going to go either underground or grinding. Possibly both.
Yeah, we will see, because we do know this will yield him that Darkness Crystal. Scratch Dragon fighting that Flame Dog fight, killing it off for a little bit of experience, hopefully a good item. Whereas Dark Kobold has defeated that Antlion and will be receiving his Luca key in a second. I believe was in this spot.
I believe so.
Yeah, And there is his Luca
Yes.
key. It's like Dr. Shinobi with encounters on again. Gonna see what this searcher ends up yielding.
Chad has brought up a good point, which is it could be the key. The tower key could be in the vanilla location. This is worth pointing out because you will see all of our. You'll see the trackers that other people that are being taken care of for the stream for viewers rather. Um, I didn't use it. I never used a tracker until I forgot about the spot at the top of the tower, and ever since then I used a tracker because I felt bad.
Definitely. And it'll be interesting to see what they do, because it could also be keyless tower into tower key into the package, which would then have Luca Cave or Dwarf Castle having that crystal. There's still a couple options open to us, but our runners are running out of spots that this crystal is going to be in. So
Uh,
this is probably why we see Box Shinobi at this point doing a little bit of grinding to get his levels going, because he knows inevitably the fight with Zerome is coming.
so where do you think Simbu is going to go? I would imagine that Dwarf would be the fastest.
Yeah, with not having access to the tower key, my bet is he'd probably do Dwarf Castle before Luca. It's a little bit easier fights, and it might yield him that tower key. Especially with the darkness here, he does know he has access to any of multiple grind options, and we'll see where he decides to go here. Looks like it is that Dwarf Castle. We do have Scratch Dragon fighting some D-Lunars, throwing out all of these J items. We also have Dark Kobold heading into the Luca Cave, it seems.
Well, that could be a big play if it pans out.
I mean, one of the bonuses here, if you don't want to use the doors for grinding, you can just run straight to the end, see what the key item is, and possibly just kind of reset out if it's not the one you want. You could also fight some doors on the way down if you're so inclined to get some levels.
I'm seeing some ribbons getting equipped and charm arrows, which I think would imply fighting some doors.
Yeah, looks like he is turning encounters
Yep.
on, and he is opening that trapdoor, where Simbu has decided to go into this Dwarf Castle fights, where Scratch Dragon finishing up the about to be heading into his second fight in the tower, and looks like we have found a Mac Giant Searcher Baka Shinobi. So I believe he's moonveiled up these 3 Edwards, so they are immune to the physical attacks, and he's just going to be attacking them and trying to get some experience here going. Simbu has found the Mega Sisters in this first spot. Gonna be throwing out some items, hopefully before that wall goes up. Shinobi definitely found his grind here. He'll probably level up. I would probably say 4 of these Edwards, if keeping one of them at a low level would be my guess, but you never. Ooh, the Manticore coming out of the trapdoor and doing a lot of damage to these Edwards.
It's a powerful enemy. There's a reason you want to kill the trapdoors while they are trapdoors.
Definitely, and we see Dark Kobold is perished by this fight. Scratch Dragon looks like he's going to be taking on this walled up Ashura. Assuming the same strategy, probably mute arrows on this Edward. 1700 damage a pop. Looks like Dark Kobold is going to take that one Siren he found to do an egg fight to get a decent amount of experience. Oh no, he left all of his Edwards in critical condition. It is a weird soft lock in this game. If you have a pony full of Edwards and leave them all in critical condition, they will all hide.
Simbu is advancing onto the Dark Knight Cecil fight. Victory condition is in these flags is simple: live.
Yeah, he basically just needs to live through 3 of these waves. He can even hide, and I think if you hide all of them, you just instantly win.
You're going to want to hide very quickly.
Yeah, Scotch Dragon has defeated Ashra, making their way out where the Kobold throwing a coffin at this one egg, getting 68,000 experience for it's like 3 of his Edward. Getting some much needed levels.
And heading back towards the Luke Cave, and we're going to find out very quickly if there's going to be anything in there.
Yeah, looks like he is equipping up again, possibly going to be trying to fight some of these doors with more health and levels on his characters. Simbu about to find out what the Dwarf Castle yields. Baka Shinobi still grinding up a storm on these Mac Giants. And it looks like it is a package from Dwarf Castle.
So that means that we know that there's one of 3 items in here: the tower key, which is value; the pass, which is value; and the crystal.
Definitely.
And regardless, picking up any of these items, any of the items here will send you to you'll know where to go. We will know where to go.
Yeah, so if this Luca key does give us either the pass or the crystal, we do know the tower key is at the top of the tower, the other item beat in the super cannon. If this is the tower key, well, the other 2 items are mixed match in those 2 spots.
Really, given the items that we know exist, anything but the pass is good for Dark Kobold. The tower key sends you to the tower, and the crystal's the crystal.
Yeah, it looks like Dark Kobold managed to successfully take out one of these doors, getting himself a nice bit of experience for his living Edwards. It's like Scratch Dragon has finally decided that Mount Ordeal is the place to be. Boxing up his Edwards and probably going to make quick work of these fights at this point.
We need to keep an eye on Baka Shinobi because I want to know how many levels are going to come out of this grind, because it's been about 5 minutes of nothing but killing a Mac Giant, reviving them, and killing more Mac Giants.
Yeah, it looks like he has decided it is the time to kill this Searcher. He goes ahead and hourglasses it up, resurrects his 2 remaining Edwards, and just boxes up the 1 Edward to go through with it. So, stopping him will stop him from summoning these Mac Giants, and he's just going to wail on the Searcher until it goes down. It looks like Simbu has decided Luca Cave is the option, knowing that no matter what he finds here, either it is Go Mode or the tower will be the last thing he needs to do. Looks like just over 1 million experience. I think I saw a bunch of 27 levels and I think a 65 of 58 levels on some Edwards. Yeah, so he has 2 level 70 Edwards and then a couple, a smattering of levels below this.
Well, will that be enough?
That is definitely enough to take on the Zeromers fight. I mean, depending on the gear you have or the strategy you use, I mean, at that point, Edward actually starts gaining a small bit of health, so he'll have a decent time, and he shouldn't have any problem with the remaining fights here as well to get himself this crystal. Both Dark Kobold and Simbu making their way to the end of this Luca Cave. We'll see what they get here and what they decide to do and what the boss that awaits them is. And we have the
The
Crystal.
crystal.
So we are officially in go mode for Simbu and Dark Kobold, although I'd almost say we're kind of in go mode for Bakashinobi with his levels, but he still does need to find that crystal.
We are in search mode for Baka Shinobi. Simbu. Uh, this could be a problem. Maybe.
Leviathan shouldn't be too bad. He does have curative items. If you put walls on yourself, you can reflect all the ice 2s that he throws out after, so you will only be taking that 1/4 damage from his waves. Looks
Well,
like it's just
I had also forgotten for a moment that Simbu has the adamant armor, so even an Ice One isn't killing an Edward.
looks like he's just gonna throw out some of these items. Zeus Rage is doing 1300. Should make pretty quick work of this, I believe.
On the other hand, Dark Kobold just took 1200 damage from an Ice 2.
Yep. So this Edward, although this one might be his, no, I don't believe he has the adamant armor. He has not done the Earth, so he's
That's correct. Simbu is the only one who has who has even gotten the who has gotten the adamant armor rather.
I believe Scratch Dragon has picked his up as well, having finished that Earth
Uh,
Crystal recently.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, looks like he just has this one Edward berserked up, letting him fire away while a couple of them hide in the background. Scratch Dragon has finished Mount Ordeals, has received his. Can't remember what was there.
Well, regardless, we know that everyone needs to be heading towards.
I believe the Luca key was actually in the Magnus cave.
Yeah, I believe Luca Key is in Magnus, but I could be wrong.
I think it might be the pan from Ordeals that leads to Sheila 2 giving you the
The
Twin
Twin
Heart,
Heart,
which
yes.
leads to the Luca key, which leads to the crystal. It's
So
the
ordeal. So ordeals is necessary to get,
yes,
but
and that also does mean that the tower in the underground will be a vanilla tower key leading to a pass. Looks like the second time around, Doe Kobold. Oh, was he fighting a door there for levels? Looks like it.
I think he was fighting his egg. Because it was a yellow D, and I don't believe the doors turn into yellow Ds.
But that final one. But he is going to grab the crystal here again. Have to go through that Leviathan fight.
I mean, if you came down here and you know the crystal, you find out the crystal's here, you have to figure out a way to just get through.
Definitely, yeah. Simbu has escaped with his crystal in hand. Looks like he's going to summon up that lunar whale, go into his grind fight of some sort. Baka Shinobi is on the right track. He is in that Magnus cave, about to pick up that Luca key, which we do know leads to the crystal. He still has a few more things he needs to clean up, though. We'll see if he decides to do that Earth crystal after, which does lead to that pink tail. But he does have the levels on his Edwards already, so his grinding has been completed.
Yeah, Spaka Shidobi should be able to rush through everything, but there is a lot that needs to be done. Baka Shinobi will have to finish up the Magnet Cave. We'll probably do the Earth Crystal, given that he's here.
I mean, it is possible he might decide to check Luca Cave first, because you can't, with the levels, he doesn't need to fight doors. He can just save scum outside of the tower, rush down to the underground, check to see what's in the Luca Cave, and then reset if it's nothing. It's not the worst play. So we'll see what happens here. Looks like Scratch Dragon has toned in his items as well, gotten his Twin Hub, and is heading into the Magnus Cave as well.
And now we are going to have to see how now it's going to boil. The race is going to come down to. It appears, at least on our side, in our channel, Baka Shinobi can get through what needs to be done before Simbu can complete the grind.
Exactly, and Simbu is going to be checking out this moon drop, finding those moon veils, which he might end up doing the same grind that Baka did earlier. Yes, he is buying moon veils here.
Well, it took Baka about 5 minutes. Doesn't appear that Simbu's going towards the Giant of Babel, though.
No,
Unless maybe just collecting a high-level Edward first.
it'll be a low-level Edward here.
Oh, it would be. I had forgotten about the balance, the balance.
It looks like Earth Crystal is going to be the call for Baka Shinobi. So, gonna be, I don't know, wasting time to gain an adamant armor, but
Wasting time to find out that the spoon is nowhere.
that is also true. Dark Kobold still in this Leviathan fight, trying to make his way through, doing some healing, doing some attacking, and it looks like he has taken it out.
Getting the win.
Yep, so that does put Dark Kobold on the path to just now needing levels to beat the boss.
Just needing levels, but no adamant armor and no spoon means it's going to be interesting to see how this gets played.
Yeah, there's definitely a few strategies we can use in this last fight. With access, there was access to Cure 3s at one point. There's access to things like Moon Veils, and I don't know if we found vampires.
I don't believe
we'll
we've seen vampires. Well, there were some vampire bats on Dark Kobold's screen. Do those help?
Not really. Yeah, it looks like Simbu is making his way down Scratch Dragon in that fight that is about to yield him a Luca key, which is progression, is required. We'll see what Simbu decides to do here. But I mean, he is making his way down the moon, so. Shinobi fighting his way through this Earth Crystal, making very quick work of anything he finds at this point with his levels on his Edwards. They may be Edward, but get that many levels, and I know he has at least one out of his bow. He does.
Even a level 70 Edward will hit hard.
Yeah, it looks like he may be going for it. He is looking at his agilities on his Edwards, so. Yeah, it looks like Simbu has said, I found this crystal, I feel I am prepared, and he is heading straight down to Zeromus.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I will admit, I've heard about this strategy. I've never actually watched him play, not having had time to watch the qualifying runs for this, so this should be pretty exciting to see. I'm not 100%, but I believe it's using basically Zeromus' own reflected nukes to kill him to an extent.
Baka Shinobi will be getting the pink tail shortly. As Dark Kobold is getting the whale and thus probably checking out the moon or Babel.
Yeah, Dark Kobold deciding, I have everything I need again. Maybe he might even be employing these strategies. I'm not sure, but
Alright, let's see who miss we're fighting.
Bakashinobu getting that pink tail. Now in the realization Spoon isn't a thing, we'll see where he goes from here. But Scratch Dragon has decided to make that Luca Cave play, so he will be finding his crystal at the end of this. It looks like we have Ozzy, Slash, and
Flee.
Lee as the Zoroma spread today.
Ozzy's in trouble. Oh, that's it. He's in a pickle. I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is definitely probably one of the more creative methods for killing Zoromas that we'll probably see. It's quite interesting.
I want to know how much damage that 60 HP. Oh, only 1,000.
Looks like Baka has poked outside the Luca Cave, so he will be going through and finding his crystal very soon himself. Yep, there's the vampire, there's the counter nuke, and there is a reflect on the counter nuke. Sees the shake, he hides from a big bang.
This is goofy.
This is definitely one of the more creative strats, and something that's come about mainly because, free enterprise is the thing. If a randomizer never existed, this would never happen.
You beat the game where Edward Edward's not in the party. You can't beat him with Edward.
Yeah, it is quite possible that even though Simbu is in this fight now, this fight is going to take a massive amount of time in comparison to, like, say, a level 70 team Berserk able to take Zoromas out. So Bakashinobu going to get his crystal now could actually surpass Simbu even though he's been in the fight for X amount of time. We do have Scratch Dragon having that crystal, fighting the Leviathan, trying to keep it. See how he does, but he's got some HP, but those Ice 2 still doing a lot of damage.
As Dark Kobold is in the giant doing some grinding, and Simbu got Black Hole, but was prepared to put another Moon Veil up. So
picking
far,
up his crystal, about to fight Leviathan. Yeah, luckily when the Zoromas does a Black Hole, he does give you a little bit of time to kind of try and recover after he does some of these interesting moves. Looks like we have Dark Kobold trying to kind of do the same thing we saw Bakashinobu doing, though he's using his illusions instead of Moon Veils. I don't know if he checked the shop.
I don't think that shop was checked.
See on Baka's screen, an Ice Dude doing about 800 damage to that one Edward, and him actually living through it, so... Scratch Dragon has defeated Leviathan, gets to keep his crystal, and is now, I guess, officially in go mode as well. Simbu continues to hide from these big bangs, hide from these black holes, and continues on reflecting.
I'm not sure what I'm watching on Simbu's side, but it is amazing.
This is the ingenuity that randomizer brings out in the game. We give you all Edwards, we find a different strategy to make Zoromas kill himself.
I refuse to call this ingenuity. This is madness.
Yeah, we do have all of our runners now having that crystal. It's just we have Dark Kobold grinding up Scratch Dragon and Baka leaving the Luca Cave. Baka, as we know, has already done his grind. So it'll be interesting to see. My bet would be he's going to run straight through the moon, go straight to that fight with his high-level Edward bounty, and then we'll see where that leads. Another black hole hitting Simbu's Edward here. Still not a problem, though, as he was, again, prepared right again to throw that wall right back up. We get about 160,000 experience on Dark Kobold's side fighting these Sochos, so I'm not sure if he's going to be done there. I think one of his Edwards got hit and went into hide mode, so he decided I need to kind of end this fight and go to another one. And it looks like he is looking for another fight to try and get some more levels in. Where Baka is going straight back to his whale. Looks like he's going to head straight to the moon, and my guess would be straight to that Zoromas fight. We actually have Scratch Dragon going through the underground, through the Feymark again. Maybe there's something in that shop that he wanted. Feels he needs for the final fight.
Maybe.
So heading straight for the weapon shop, so my guess is there's some sort of arrows. This is where the samurai bow and samurai arrows were, so he might be loading up on things like that to try and get himself some more attacking Edwards. Oh yeah, this is definitely a very slow strategy for Zoromas, and the other problem too is with using vampires to trigger that nuke, you will get the health refill as well on Zoromas. Bakashinomi picking up, I think, one of the Edwards on the moon, possibly to use as that agility anchor in the middle slot as a level 5 Edward.
Have you been tracking Mystic Miss's health?
Not exactly. I mean, these nukes are hitting anywhere from levels like 2,300 to 1,500. And the vampires themselves looks like they're doing like 600 to 700, so I mean, when you have to do, what is it, like 105,000 damage to Zoromas, it's going to take a little bit of time. But I mean, Simbu is executing this perfectly. Like he's always hiding when he needs to, throwing up that new wall when he needs to. So like, as long as nothing goes horribly wrong, he should be there.
Well, if there was no, if anything wasn't being done perfectly, I think Edward would be eating, not dirt, but wherever Zoromas is hanging out.
I mean, one of the scariest parts of this fight could also be the very end. Once he enters that Meteo phase, if a Meteo doesn't miss, does he just die?
I don't know. It's a very good question.
Well, we shall see. We do have Dark Kobold, looks like making his way to the Luna... Dark Kobold grinding. Scratch Dragon making his way to the Luna Subterrane, where we have the Edward buff team, I guess we'll call it, from Baka Shinobi, having done that grind fight, making his way down. Like, doing some equipping, getting some... I think it's some of the best gear on those 2 level 70 Edwards to give them the best chance of survival. There are other runners, yeah. You keep in mind, this is 4 of the 12 runners for our final table. We do have all 12 of them being restreamed. It's the multi-Twitch there provided. So... I'm not sure what his strategy is for Meteo. Again, I haven't seen this strategy in play. I knew it was something kind of like this, but it's interesting to see what exactly happens. He has those viruses of just 3 more damage. But
you you don't think about how utterly maddening this strategy is until you watch it.
Now, it's definitely its own beast, and it definitely something very creative that has come out from doing these Edward strats. And the thing of the matter is, if you get Edward in a non-Edward seed and a low-level Pody in Go mode, you can still use this strategy. I mean, instead of taking all that time to grind, although depending on the amount of key items, it might just be faster to grind and go with a regular Reflector Berserker strat.
What if Simbu runs out of moon veils?
We don't think about that. We hope he has Star Veils as well. Yeah, we do have Makashami entering the fight, and he is probably going to be doing a more traditional 2 Berserked Edward fight with his 2 level 70 Edwards, using some of the other ones to maybe hide from big bangs and then pop out and use those Kyo 3 items to get those Berserked ones back up and running. We'll see.
I apologize. I was looking at Baka Shinobi's screen with the 5 Edwards mark, with the 5 Edwards looking down before determining that they could stop Zerovis. Okay, so by my count, Simbu, I think, is about 12 minutes into the Zeromus fight.
Yeah, and it looks like he has hit the point where he no longer actually wants to use those vampires. He doesn't want to trigger the health refill. He's using silk webs. He's probably going to end up using a crystal, using anything that doesn't do damage, so that the only damage right now is the nukes reflecting into him to not do the refill, and then hoping to finish him off with something that does damage at the end. I do know by him casting this virus that he is still in the first phase of the fight. If that virus was, say, a nuke, we'd know we tripped his HP. But yeah, we do have Baka Shinobi with his 2 Berserk Edward fight going through. And it looks like Scratch Dragon is coming down to this bonus fight. It looks like he may be employing the same strategy that we see Simbu doing, with his levels being even slightly lower. So, although he does have counters on, he may be trying to grind.
Might be, but grinding on Behemoths.
I mean, he does hide most of his Edwards. The middle one does die, which actually might be a good thing, and then he's throwing a Bacchuswine on that Edward. Yeah, it looks like he has decided it is time to grind up Behemoths. My guess would be this is the Adamant Edward in the back row. As we can see on Baka Shinobi's screen, like his 2 Bow Edwards are kind of putting out 2,400 and like 1,500 damage a little more consistently. And he does have 2 Edwards kind of hiding in the background. They're probably going to pop out, throw Cure 3s at the 2 Berserk Edwards, and then try and hide again from that next wave of Big Bang.
And Dark Kobold now has some level 68 Edwards, having completed a grind.
Yeah, so it looks like Dark Kobold's going to be employing the same strategy that Baka Shinobi is here, more traditional kind of berserking or attacking Pody. It looks like a lot of Cure 2s going out for Baka Shinobi's side. I don't know if he has Cure 3s or possibly saving them for later.
Although an interesting thing about everything on Dark Kobold's side is that Dark Kobold's going to be the only one of the 4 here who is doing this fight without an adamant armor.
Yeah, so no, it won't have some extra defenses and things like that, but I don't know, with his levels, he may feel, checking for that extra key item's not worth it at this point. Simbu still going ahead, throwing out these silk webs, getting these counter nukes, getting the reflect viruses. He's gotta be coming close to the end of the... Oh! And
Yes.
there's the flash. So we do have Simbu finishing first in this race with a time of 1 hour, 23 minutes, and 15 seconds. You know, no grinding, just taking full advantage of that reflecting strategy. GG to Simbu.
Wow.
Oh, and we do have a second place finisher, 1 hour, 23 minutes, and 58 seconds. Dusty Griff, on one of the other restreams, has also finished. Yeah, definitely a huge shout out to Simbu coming first in that, showing us those crazy low-level reflection strats. Definitely a sight to see. And we are joined by Simbu. Simbu, GG on the well-earned first place.
Thank you. GG.
GG, you crazy person.
Yeah, it's definitely something to hear about that strategy, and then another thing to see it in play. So, how did you feel about that seed, and I guess that fight in general?
I would have preferred the pass to the Darkness Crystal by any number of times. It saves me like 4, maybe 5 minutes not having to walk all the way down there, summon the well, and all of that stuff. It's also... That strat is a lot better when you don't have... If you have the spoon, that strat takes half as much time, so you can cut off the first 40,000 Azaromas' HP in 2 or 3 minutes instead of 9 or 10.
Yeah, we did have ourselves a spoonless seed as all of the replacement... Well, actually, yeah, all the replacement items were found.
Yeah, honestly, I thought someone else would beat me since I went 15 out of 17 and the other two were literally tower key into pass. Or actually, yeah, tower key into pass. So...
I mean, no one else on our stream took the tower route, so nobody ended up doing that to find the pass to, what do you say, a quicker way to Zeroma.
Okay.
Well, remember also that the crystal was at the end of a long path.
I mean, it is technically a long path. Anything with Luca in it is technically a long path, but I feel like a lot of people like to jump on those opportunities in a finals table because it's something that really sets you apart from everyone else. So the only decent thing was both the darkness and like all 3 of your needed items, the pass and darkness and crystal, were on fairly long chains, and that probably helped me out a lot. But I think I didn't find Artemis Arrow, so they might have been in Feymarch, or they might have been in Kokos or Eblon. So I think that slowed everyone else down as well.
Yeah, I don't believe we saw them, and I don't think anyone ended up checking Kokos. Feymarch had samurai arrows.
Okay.
And I know people checked Eblon, but I didn't see people with a mass amount of Artemis arrows. So.
Yeah. I felt a little bit hesitant going down without really any good offensive gear into Sealed Cave, but then I found mute arrows and I had one last Bacchus. I would have liked to have used that on Z and would have gotten a nice 7,000 or 8,000 damage start, but I couldn't remember where Bacchus were. I think they were also Feymarch?
I believe somewhere there. Yeah, I know they were in the underground somewhere. But,
yeah, so I didn't feel like going and getting it, but I just thought I blitzed through the seed as quickly as possible. I did fairly few checks. Like, I'm sure there were adamants and maybe just single stacks of Artemis arrows sitting around, but I blitzed through it, so I decided let's just keep blitzing, and it worked.
I believe the only adamant we saw came from that Pinktail, and I think I saw a single 10 Artemis arrows from all of the runners, like, being picked up at one point.
Yeah,
GG, we do have a couple more finishers. So third place was Zilch with 1 hour 27 minutes 6 seconds. Then in fourth place on our restream, Baka Shinobi with a time of 1 hour 28 minutes and 9 seconds. Baka actually went and did a giant back giant grind and went in with a double berserk Edward strategy.
Okay. I know my 2v2 partner, Moonblaze Wolf, was talking about doing the giant grind, and I'm not specifically sure how that goes, but I'll love to rewatch the race just to see if Baka gained time or lost time trying to do that while I just blitzed through.
I mean, he did die once trying to get the fight to a nasty back attack, and he also did his grind before he had the crystal. So like he I think had got 10 key items, maybe 11. He got the darkness crystal and decided it's time to level up my Edwards.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that Baka Shinobi was a good bit behind you by the time before when they went to do the grind, and not quite enough to make a comeback, but I do think that they dug a bit into your lead.
Okay.
It definitely showed us the difference between the two fights, using that low-level Edward to kind of reflect kill via, doing some damage, and then using non-damaging items to finish him off before the refill. But
Yeah. It's definitely a very interesting strat. I've done a lot of testing today and yesterday to make sure I knew exactly what I wanted to do. Kirchen showed it on the restream on what was that? That was the second qualifier. So
yeah. So did you come into this run knowing I am going to do this strategy? Was that your plan from the beginning, or?
Pretty much. I ran a race this afternoon, and as I mentioned, Moonblaze Wolf tried to do a grind, and he said his grind took about 15 to 16 minutes from starting to grind and then getting to Zeromus and winning. And I timed it as 17 minutes to just go into Zeromus and kill him. And I didn't know how to do the Mac Giant grind. I didn't have Artemis Arrow, so I couldn't do Ryu grind. So I pretty much halfway through said, I knew if I got the spoon, I was doing this no matter what. If I got the pass, I was doing this no matter what. This was basically the worst case scenario where I didn't get anything I wanted. I got Darkness and Crystal and 15 key items and everything, but it allowed me to play the seed where I wasn't looking for most of your really important items, like, as I mentioned earlier, Artemis arrows and other things that you need for your grind. So I think that gave me enough an advantage by not having to check for that stuff, that I was able to afford a little bit more time in the Z fight.
Fair enough.
Well, it is hard to argue with results, and the result was a first place victory. So, who are we to say which strategy worked out well and which one was best?
Yeah.
Congratulations on your madness paying off.
Just wait until I do it in a seed that's not Edward %, because I really like this strategy. I think it can pay off even on other seeds. All you would need is something like a Avenger Kane, and just have your Edward Berserk him or life him over and over until you get your 40,000 damage. Then come out with Edward and finish it off. Expect to see more Madman plays.
I look forward to the evolution of Edward strategies. But yeah, GG again, and congratulations on first place and everything.
Thanks, guys, for the restream and everything, and have fun rounding out the race.
We will. Take care.
Yeah, we do have a couple more finishers. We do have Cochin in 5th place, 1 hour 28 minutes 49 seconds, and Choco Shura with 1 hour 30 minutes and 20 seconds in 6th place. yeah, on our spoons we do see Dark Kobold having done that Mac Giant grind as well in here with his Berserk Edwards, employing the same strategy that Baka Shinobi showed us. And it looks like Scratch Dragon's still going ahead, grinding up a bit on these lunar fights. It definitely seems like a slower strategy than going to do the Mac Giants, but if it's what you know and what you're comfortable with, it will work as well. And we are joined by Baka Shinobi now. Baka, GG.
Thank you.
On your 4th place, and showing us the power of the Berserk Edwards.
Yeah, Angry Edward did some work today. Thankfully, that lack of arty arrows was a little frightening, but samurai arrows did the job, it seems.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if anyone found arty arrows. One of the few shops that weren't seen was, I guess, Kokol's shop, if you wanted to make an Excalibur for that reason. So, what did you think of the seed in general, and how you played and went about it?
Hello?
Baka might be having a little bit of issue with his mic, or ran to grab something, but now we'll continue on watching Scratch Dragon grind himself up and Dark Kobold make his way through this fight. And if this stream is an indication, it looks like Baka might have been running into some issues here with his internet and may have disconnected, so we'll see if we can get him back here for a proper interview when he gets back. Yeah, no, it's definitely interesting to see the different strategies that evolve with this randomizer for beating the game, beating Zeromus and taking him out. We've had, you know, this. I guess before we had the traditional Berserk strats, the traditional reflected strats, the hybrid strategies where you do a bit of both, and now we have the Edward makes Zeromus kill himself strat. I don't know. It's very interesting to see.
The Edward strats. Edward, I think we should call it Edward Sanity.
Could be a good name for it, but yeah, it's definitely quite the evolution from you know, some of the more traditional things we have seen in the past.
I mean, traditional and like Edward percent. Those are just two lines going in the complete opposite directions.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, when you get to when you start having these races, start having all these qualifiers, start having people practicing, it's amazing what people will come up with to get through this. Like we saw, you know, a couple different grinds. We saw a couple different. I don't even need to grinds, obviously. It's just the strategies it takes to beat certain fights, to get through certain areas with, you know, a traditionally very underpowered team.
Especially an underpowered team that, in this case, you may not necessarily have access to the best or even a good weapon for. I mean, we did have an Artemis bow, but I mean that's just one Artemis bow.
I believe rejoined by Baka Shinobi after his computer crashed on him, but
Yes, sorry, I need to go and replace a cooler, it seems, but it's working. As long as I don't open too much, it'll be fine.
Your computer was just using hide strats.
Exactly.
I mean, just be happy it happened after the race, not during.
Yes, if it was during that Z fight, I would have been very, very sad.
Yeah, as I was asking before, your computer also rudely decided to turn off. How do you feel you played that seed and went about with your strategy there?
I feel like I definitely could have done better, but the grinding bit, I had to do a little bit of oddness because I noticed one of my Edwards wasn't 10 levels below, and I really needed to go and have 2 Edwards at that strength, I felt like, so that slowed me down a fair bit. I probably should have gone and done that outside of the giant or saved in the giant before trying that, but well, mistakes happen.
Yeah, they do. I also noticed. I think you got a back attack, tried to kill him off or whatever, and ended up dying once too. Would cost you probably a couple minutes there.
Yeah, that was far too silly. That was not the place to go and try and do that. I should have looked into doing that, either gotten the Edward set up another time, or I should have just approached it smarter. But otherwise, I like the Mac Giant grind on this flag set. No Sirens are a great way to get that slingshot, and 2 level 70 Eddies seem to be enough to go and kill Zeromus.
It definitely seemed like it. I mean, did you come into this race with the intention to go with a Berserk strat no matter what? Like, had you looked into the crazy reflect low-level Edward strats, or...?
I did some research on it, and by research I mean I watched Dusty show it off when he was doing some practice seeds, and it seems very precise and technical, and doing that without practice is not something I wanted to do, but I would have given it a shot if it was like a Crystal Path start.
That's fair enough, so... Yeah, we noticed you decided, I think, once you got 10 key items at least and had that Darkness Crystal, you were, I think, the first person to kind of go and grind ahead of time, whereas Dark Kobold and Scratch Dragon decided to do that after they had received their crystal.
Yeah, I decided that I'm going to grind at 10 key items, or I need that bonus 10 key items to grind, then I might as well grind when I have it, because I can make everything else faster.
Yeah, and you did show, like, once you did finish that, you went through those remaining areas fairly quickly with your 2 level 70 Edwards.
Yeah, they shot things up pretty well. They went and got drunk and had a roaring good time in the overworld, and then Luca Cave.
And Kristen, we do have Dark Kobold enter that meteor phase, and with that next attack, we do have him finishing in 7th place, so 1 hour, 40 minutes, and 6 seconds. So GG to Dark Kobold.
Yes, GG's to him. This is definitely not your normal Z fight.
Yeah, I mean, even with Berserk Edwards, having to hide, to heal, to do other things, it definitely makes you play a little differently than you would with, maybe a general team with, the equipment you find. Edwards' equipment is a little lacking, especially in a scene that does replace the spoon.
Yeah, that was kind of, and it was like, oh, I have the equipment and the legend sword. This means I own either a very strong weapon or a very strong armor, not both.
Yeah. And I believe that adamant from the Pinktail is the only one we did see in the scene, so... if you had gotten that spoon, then there's no adamant, but...
Oh, good. I was worried every chest is walking past, like, is that the adamant? Is that the adamant? Is that the adamant?
Now, this is a very stingy seed. Like, we saw that one Artemis bow. I think we saw 1 stack of Artemis arrows somewhere. And beyond that, that's about it. We saw the 1 ribbon, I think, as well. I don't even think we saw any protector crystal rings or anything of the sort.
Yeah, I should have marked where I found those rune rings, because I kind of meant to buy more of those.
Yeah, it is definitely a different showing when you give our 5 Edwards to deal with the strategies they employ.
It's a different kind of poor compared to Catalite, I'll say.
Definitely. Well, do you have any final comments about the run, or the race in general? Or?
This was a lot more interesting than I was expecting it to be. I figured Edward Percent would be just get to stupidly high levels, which, okay, I did, but there's definitely a lot more ways of playing it than I gave it credit for, and it's a very interesting format that I hope we see something like this in the future, where it just forces people outside their comfort zones.
I am looking forward to 5 Tele%.
Oh, I'm sure
Edward is clearly overpowered with with Hyde. I think we need to nerf Hyde.
Nerf Hyde, make him go and make Edward be, pour him with that white magic.
Oh, that is just...
Kid Rydia% maybe. Just completely remove the Mistrag. Remove the Dwarf Castle.
I mean, Kid Rydia percent's not too bad. All you miss out is some level 2 spells. It looks like we are also joined by Dark Kobold, who recently finished. Dark, how did you feel about that run? maybe having some mic issues. So
I choose to believe that the silence was speaking of how Edward made him feel. He is doing as the bard does.
And we still have Scratch Dragon grinding away here in the Lunar Core. Looks like he should be getting to the point where might be comfortable taking on that Zoromas fight pretty soon, with 2,000 health on at least 4 of his Edwards now. Almost. In this time, we do have an 8th place and 9th place finisher. 8th was Penguinator with a 141.38. And 9th place, we have Aizen Tayama with a 144.08.
So, look, Scratch Dragon still continuing the grind of the Red Dragons and the Behemoth. Looks like
Losing one of the Edwards here, I guess, in the initial. Yeah, well, we definitely intrigued to see what strategies come from the future from this research with Edwards. Simbu has promised that he's probably going to try and find a way to use these strategies in other seeds, so we'll see what happens with that, and see where it leads us in the future for these strategies for taking out the big bad at the end of the game. I mean, another thing to remember is to definitely give all of our runners here a follow. They're all great runners of Final Fantasy IV for Enterprise. Again, a huge thanks to Crimson Avix, who did our tracking for us today and demoing for all of the restreaming. Thanks to Great White Hope for commentating with me and keeping you all entertained while our runners beat this game for us.
Well, we tried. I don't know if we succeeded. I hope we did. And, I'd like to thank you for taking part in this with me, and of course, the entire Free Enterprise community for letting us do this. They could have said no. We want better people. And so they went, we'll settle for you.
Oh, looks like Scratch Dragon has turned his encounters off. Looks like he might go back to the save point, save up, and head into that Zoromas fight with, I think it was around 4 level 65 Edwards. So we'll see if he can make quick work of this here himself, and then finish up this race for us here on Reanimania.
We will see.
Loading up his previously berserking Edward with more arrows, just to make sure he does not run out. It looks like we are now joined with by Dark Kobold. GG to you, sir.
GG, Dark Kobold. Maybe not.
Might still be having mic issues, so we'll see if we can get him in here. If not, we'll proceed on. Yeah, we can hear you now.
Hello, we can hear you.
Awesome. So, what was the key to Simbu's win?
Getting the crystal and immediately going in with his, level 30-ish Edwards to reflect strat. Basically, he used one Edward to hide back and forth and throw vampires and eventually silkwebs at Zoromas to reflect.
Oh, the new Edward strat came into play.
It definitely did.
It did, and Simbu played very well the entire run. But yeah, Simbu did do the Edward's sanity strat.
Yeah, well, it looks you took the same route as Baka. You know, you got everything. Although he did his
Leviathan was
grind
quite
before.
the pristine gatekeeper of the crystal.
Yeah, I believe you and Scratch Dragon had a little trouble with him having not done too much leveling beforehand. I don't know. How did you feel about the seed in general, though?
Took me a
with,
moment
you know,
to think through that fight.
Definitely. Although on stream we do have Scratch Dragon finally starting his fight with Ozzy, Flea, and Slash. Going with, looks like maybe, I'd say 3 Berserk Edwards, leaving that last one possibly to heal, but we shall see what he decides to do. But yeah, Doc, how did you feel about that scene in general, kind of starting out with, you know, you guys didn't find that many things to power up your Edwards early on.
Dark Kobo might be having some more issues.
It seems like he may be having some internet issues or Discord issues, which we'll see. For now, we'll just cheer on Scratch Dragon as he fights this boss with his Berserked Edwards. Yeah, again, he did a different grind, and he has a little different setup here with his Edwards, just kind of leveling up 4 of them instead of the 2 that we saw with Dark and Baka, and now just kind of throwing out Cure 3s with the 1. Gonna hope that he can live through these big bangs.
Those are okay, powerful big bangs, but not too terrible.
Yeah, I believe that was the nerfed one first, so we'll see if he decides to continue nerfing these or what his approach to this will be. But as you can see, doing about 2300, 1300, and 1500 with his Edwards, so getting a decent chunk of damage out each round. It's like he is keeping that one low-level Edward just kind of hidden back, maybe as like a reserve in case things go wrong. He can bring him out to try and life some people up and reset the fight.
And just, keeping Zeramis nice and slow.
Yeah, definitely a good strategy. Able to get it. Looks like at least 3 of these Cure 3s. We'll see if he can get the last one on his healing Edward before. And he may just be leaving that last Edward in reserve to resurrect that healing Edward.
It is It may be using Edwards, but it is a traditional team. It is the agility manipulator.
And it looks
3
like
attackers and a
it
healer.
actually looks like he throws a Bacchus on this one Edward that was his healer, and is sitting on the backed Edward, maybe waiting to resurrect this one that's probably going to die to this next big bang. Maybe seeing if he can get enough damage to flip Zeromus before he gets that big bang off. But again, without the spoon, like, you can see the damage numbers his Edwards are doing. That spoon has a crazy attack value, which really speeds up this fight and turns one of the Edwards into actually one of the best Berserkers you can have, even in any party. And we do see the second big bang coming out.
That's a good chunk of damage.
As expected, it takes out that one unhealed Edward. It looks like he's deciding not right away to bring this level 5 Edward out, but continue going with these attacks with the Berserk.
Maybe planning on letting the party fall? Well, black hole, so you better do something.
Yeah, he does get a black hole here, so the Berserks will be falling off. He may take this time to heal up his team, and then throw out some more Berserks, drink some more wine to Berserk his body back up. There is a nuke happening, so I guess he has been flipped. Looks like he's gonna use this time now to resurrect that one Edward, heal up, and then continue on.
This might become a problem for Scratch Dragon.
It looks like he healed one of the Edwards fully, managed to hide one of the other ones, and is sacrificing this one on the bottom to the Big Bang.
Well, it looked like actually I think that one at the top Edward was already at full health, and I think that Scratch accidentally used a Cure 3 potion on him.
That is possible as well. Although we do see him entering Meteo phase. This top Edward is the one with the adamant armor, dodging that Meteo. Hopefully able to get this last bit of damage out in order to end this boss fight.
Crit.
Another Meteo, another attack, and there's the flash. We do have Scratch Dragon finishing. We did have Moonblaze Wolf finishing in 10th place before him with 154.50, with Scratch Dragon pulling in 11th at 155.18.
GG to Scratch Dragon. Well, this was a wonderful, wonderful final table. 4 great runs on our side, and it sounds like great runs for the other runners as well.
See if we can get Scratch in here for a quick interview before we sign off. But yeah, while we're waiting for Scratch, again, a huge shout out to all of the FF4E community, the Restream team, all of our Restreamers, our personal Restreamer, Demery, our personal tracker, Crimson Avix, and everyone. And we are joined by Scratch Dragon now. GG Scratch Dragon.
GG's, guys.
Congratulations, Scratch Dragon, on saving the world from Ozzy.
Whoa. I'm sorry. I'm feeling kind of after this Edward seed. It just took longer than I would have liked it to.
Well, I suppose that is what happens when you get an Artemis bow and not really much else to hit things with.
Yeah, I mean it's weird because the strats have changed to the no grind run, and I never practiced it, so I had no intentions of doing it. So I didn't really have a lot of high expectations in this. So I'm guessing that these guys found the past crystal real quick, and then went and did Zeromus.
Actually, the only person on our stream that did that strategy was Simbu, who did end up winning the race. Baka and Dark Kobold took advantage of a Mac Giant grind in the Giant of Babel to level their party up, kind of using illusions and moon veils to their advantage to not take any damage and grind pretty quickly.
Where were the moon veils?
On the moon.
Yes,
Figures.
they were in the Hummingway shop, I believe.
Naturally, the one shop I didn't check.
Isn't that how it always is? If you don't check a spot, then it's going to be the one item you want. You don't check a shop, it's gonna have all the goodies.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. I'm not really acclimated to the Mac Giant grind. I haven't practiced it, and I said I wasn't going to try anything outside of my my regularly scheduled programming.
That's fair enough. I mean, you did get the grind out. You did beat the final boss, and you still made it to these final tables. So I mean, no matter what, a huge GG to you for getting this far and still beating the seed and making it look decently easy, even with the limited resources you were given.
Yeah, I mean, these were strats from a week ago, I guess. So, I mean, got to keep up, right?
Yeah, it's amazing how fast it evolves, and we'll see. Hopefully, the game continue to evolve as it goes. But do you have any final thoughts or anything about this race or anything in general right now?
No, I mean, it's been a lot of fun. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to participate in the 2v2 for next weekend. So, wherever I end up on the leaderboard is wherever I end up on the leaderboard at this point. But for the last 6 weeks has been a lot of fun. I recommend anyone who's not currently playing this to at least try it out. It's a lot of fun. And if you enjoy watching this, I'm going to give a shameless plug right now. You guys should catch us in May for RPG Limit Break. We will be performing on Friday with the Forge the Crystal percent. So catch us in May, catch RPG Limit Break, and play Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise.